get that one goal to level or 2 goals to beat me. So
so on a personal basis,
yeah,
you're like, thank goodness for that.
I'm joking actually, Jim, because I'll be gutted if Harry leaves, because I don't want to see our best players leaving the Premier League. You know, Harry's one of the top strikers, if not the top striker, certainly English point of view. I understand it. I understand where Daniel Levy's coming from. I understand where Harry's coming from. He wants to win trophies. He's not playing for money. You know, people always say, oh, he's getting paid. It's not about money for Harry. If he wants to win a trophy, if he goes to Bayern Munich, almost guaranteed, as we know, better chance of winning the Champions League. So I get all that, but I do think it would be sad for English football if he leaves.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, you can see the messages coming in. Many Tottenham fans getting in touch. I'll select one, Patrick, a Tottenham fan. I don't see what all the fuss is about. Kane will not be going to Germany. Many of them still have the belief they'll say no and stay.
Well, I can't think of too many examples where two clubs have agreed a fee, particularly not one of this size, and the player has actually turned his back on the deal once it gets to discussing personal terms. Usually the moves go through. Probably Jamie Vardy when he turned down Arsenal after Leicester won the title is the last one that springs to mind. I think it is a sad loss to the Premier League. I think it's great for Harry Kane, as you say, Tony, that he's put winning trophies ahead of personal glory, because let's be honest, if he'd stayed at Spurs, he would have become the record Premier League goal scorer. He certainly would have beaten.
Losing mentality, losing ideas.
He might have 3 years and come back and still do it.
There has been talk, isn't there? And I think it's genuine talk that there would be a buyback option for Tottenham in the contract. So who knows? Maybe he might go and do 2-3 years in Germany, win a couple of Bundesligas, and then come back and break the record.
Tony, would you question Kane's ambition if he does end up saying no to this?
No, because he must have a real attachment to his club. He's been there a long time, Jim. He's got a great repertoire, I can't say, with the fans. You know, everything's there for him. You know, Tottenham's a great club. He's got the stadium, he's got the training ground, he's got the fan base. But he's not winning trophies. Exactly. Yeah. Yes. You know, I mean, Harry's a centre forward. Centre forwards are very selfish in many respects, Jim. And you want the personal accolades. He wants to be the top Premier League goal scorer. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes. If he does go to Bayern, I'm not saying he will, but if he does, 3 years there, maybe come back and sign for Tottenham or Man United, whoever it might be, and then you can still get the 50 goals or whatever it is to beat Alan Shearer, which will be a fantastic achievement. But you want to win a trophy, Jim. I was just saying to the guys outside, like I had to wait 17 years to win my one and only League Cup trophy. But you play football to win medals and to win honours. That's what it's all about. You know, that's and professional football, you want to win things.
Yeah.
Just quickly on what Alex said about that, where the two clubs have agreed the fee, you very rarely get that. If the player, let's put it this way, if Harry Kane's not interested, he would have told his agent, who would have told Bayern, look, don't bother, he's not interested. So there must be an interest. I wouldn't be surprised if he hasn't done it already. Just go and talk to them and see where you go. And if it's got this far, you would expect him to leave.
Well, personal terms probably already agreed, Jim.
Yeah, you would have to think. If you have just switched on, it is a big breaking story developing all the time. Munich reached an agreement with Tottenham to sign Kane. Tony Cotty in studio with us. We'll get to West Ham shortly, Tony, but the man who sat in that seat you're sitting in now, Tony, Gareth Southgate, just a few days ago, we put it to him, how much of a loss would it be for the Premier League if Kane says yes to Munich?
Actually, it doesn't concern me, because wherever he is, he's an outstanding player, and he'll have a good season and he'll score a load of goals. So I think it's more of a dilemma for the player, the club. What do they do financially? You know, he's at a certain point of his contract where, can you afford not to take the money, or can you afford to lose the player? That's the difficult thing for the people running the football club. And you want the best players playing in the league if you possibly can, as if you're a fan of the Premier League. We're not short of outstanding players, and for me, English players playing abroad is a good experience for them. So for years we've never had players going abroad. We've got a few more going abroad now, to Italy, to Germany, now to Spain. So I think that's good for their individual development, and they've got their own careers. And so England is always a consequence of what they do with their clubs in the end. It's not for me to dictate where they go, where they play. We'll assess where they are. We won't rule people out. We've never ruled anybody out because of the league they play in. We rule them out on the comparison with the other players in their positions.
That was Gareth Southgate talking about the possibility of Kane going to Munich and the implication of it. This is one of the many things, Alex Crook, that I love about Talksport, the listener interaction. Tony Cotty is alongside Alex and myself. So many people getting involved in this conversation, Tony. Robin Tewksbury, all right, now's the time for Manchester United to swoop. Bayern have done all the hard work. Match the €100 million bid and get Kane in, and he'll win trophies.
I agree, but they've just signed the other lad. Is it Holland? Is it?
Holland, yeah.
They've spent a lot of money on him, and I think it's pretty obvious to everyone. Daniel Levy doesn't want to sell to another English club. We all know that. If Harry's going to leave, he's got to go abroad. You know, I listened to what Gareth, I heard parts of the interview as well. He's going to play in the Bundesliga. It's a good league. He's playing Champions League football. It's not like Jordan Henderson was asked about Jordan as well. Jordan's playing in Saudi Arabia. Is it consistently a good league? We don't know the answer to that.
Sure.
But Bundesliga and Champions League it won't affect Harry's position.
Tony, we're being bombarded by calls from Tottenham fans in a good way. It's what we want. 03717 223344. Graham's a big Spurs fan. Graham, are you getting used to the idea that Harry's almost out the door now?
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about him going, Jim. It's all great for the player if he does go and wins his trophies, but he's not the team. The team may have been built around him, but I don't think he's the most important player at Spurs at the moment.
Are you joking?
No, I honestly think Son is as important, if not more important, than Harry Kane. He brings a lot to the table for the club.
Oh, Graham, I mean, come on. I can hardly imagine there are many Tottenham fans would agree with you on that one. I mean, to me, just thinking about Tottenham not with Kane in the lineup is odd.
Jim, they finished 8th last season. You take Harry's goals out, they would have been in relegation trouble.
Yeah.
Right, you look at the seasons in the past where he's had long periods out with injury. We never suffered that much with him off the pitch.
So, all right, Graham, there is life after Kane as far as you're concerned. Here's Mike, a big Tottenham fan. Mike, good morning. The two clubs have agreed a deal, €100 million. Harry's close to being out of there. What's your take on it?
Morning, chat. Thanks for having me on. Personally, I'll have a glass where the last guy's on because I'm absolutely gutted, if I'm totally honest. However, I think I'd have been more gutted if you went to a Premier League rival next year for free. So it's one of those, and I think it was always coming. I mean, we wouldn't have signed Richarlison for big money. I know we hadn't done well last year, but Daniel Levy never would have bought him for a lot of money if he didn't know this was on the horizon, I think.
Yeah. How do you think Ange Postecoglou will deal with it? What are your early impressions of Ange? Seems to take everything in his stride, mate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm loving the football he's playing. The friendlies, you know, playing it out from the back. It's so refreshing after Conte and Mourinho to actually see us play some decent football. And I think it's taking the pressure off him. He can not chill out, but it's going to take the pressure off him. The fans are going to give him a bit of grace. See how we do without Harry, because obviously he's a massive part of our team. You know, the best player I've seen playing for Spurs, probably him and Gareth Bale in my lifetime. So it's going to take us a while to adapt, but I think it might be good for Richarlison. When he came on last year, he was put on the left wing, right wing, and now with James Maddison behind him, you never know, it might look okay.
Okay, Mike, thank you very much for your call. Tony Cotty is in studio with Alex Crook and myself. We're going to be talking all things West Ham United, of course. Tony, much adored by the West Ham support. We now know, of course, that Alvarez almost through the door at West Ham. If it hasn't been done by now, it will be done today. You have to think Harry Maguire should end up saying yes to joining West Ham. 30 million agreed with Manchester United. James Ward-Prowse set to join tomorrow, but the big breaking story is Kane to Munich. The two clubs have agreed a fee of €100 million. Tony's up next. Myself, the conversation we were having in the commercial break, it shows that many ex-players, no matter how big a name they were, and Mr. Cotty here was a very big name when he played, many ex-players love the game so much that they can't live without it, and that's why they pay their own way today to have an affiliation to it. Tony, are you happy to tell me what you just told me in the break? You're a season ticket holder nowadays at West Ham.
Absolutely, Jim. Yeah, and I pay for my season ticket. I'm in the corporate lounges. It's cost me a lot of money, but do you know what? I love it. Absolutely love it. I go to as many home games as I can. Obviously, I do the away games. I've enjoyed the European games, but people don't always know, Jim, that I was an absolutely mad fan as a kid. And you know, when you obviously become a player, when you're working in the media, and you know you've got responsibilities, and you've got to be careful what you say and what you do, etc. I haven't got that now. I've been 2 years since I left Sky, and I can go to a game and shout and do what I want, and dance and whatever, and I can do everything. I can drink whatever I want to do. I can go and do that.
Yeah.
And I've absolutely loved it. The last 2 years, I've been back to being the fan that I was when I was 14.
Sure thing. West Ham fans, just a couple of days. Ron telling us he's one of us. You are indeed, Tony Crotty. We'll talk West Ham with Tony very shortly. At the moment, we make no apology for talking about all things Tottenham, Bayern Munich, and Harry Kane, because the two clubs have agreed a 100 million euros fee for Harry Kane. The ball's in Harry's court. It's up to him whether it says yay or nay, but we think he's going to say yes. Alex Crook's beside me. Alex, what have you got?
Well, big breaking news potentially when it comes to the future of Moises Caicedo. Matt Law at the Telegraph is reporting Liverpool have now outbid Chelsea for the Brighton midfielder. Yet to get confirmation of that from the Brighton end. Caicedo, of course, been absent from training since the end of last week with an injury. We understand that Caicedo's preference would still be to join Chelsea, but we're trying to get confirmation of that Liverpool bid. It's turning into a bidding war, isn't it? Not just for Caicedo between those two clubs, but for Romeo Lavia as well, potentially. They play each other on Sunday. Could be feisty.
Oh, that'll be interesting. Moises Caicedo, I've seen him many times for Brighton, Tony. This is a lad who catches the eye so much when he's been in a Brighton shirt. And now Liverpool are in there and have outbid Chelsea. We've seen Alexis McAllister go to Liverpool. Now Caicedo might join him. Then all of a sudden you're thinking, wowzer, what's going on here?
Well, I think the Liverpool midfield's been an issue for quite a few years, Jim. And even when they won the league, I looked at that midfield. What was it? Henderson, you had Fabinho. And I think they won the league because they had fantastic forwards. They had one of the world's best goalkeepers and had an incredible defence. And I think the midfield has really been an issue. Klopp's obviously identified that. I like McAllister. I think he's a wonderful player. I love watching him in the World Cup and for Brighton as well. Caicedo, yeah, he's a good player. Is he worth the money they're talking about? I would question that, Jim. But if he goes into that midfield and he makes it happen for Liverpool and they go and win something, then it's a good signing.
Okay, so now a situation is developing. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, that Caicedo could end up at Liverpool and Lavia could end up at Chelsea. And for so long, it's been the other way around.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, I guess it also shows a dearth of midfielders, top-class midfielders, that all the big clubs seem to be competing for the same players. But it's good news for Brighton and for Southampton, isn't it? What you want in this situation, if you're the selling club, you want a bidding war.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like you could have two.
Exactly. The other big breaking news, of course, is that Bayern Munich have reached an agreement with Tottenham to sign Harry Kane. Darren's a big Tottenham fan. Darren, good morning. What's your take on it?
Morning. The word I'd use is laughable. This is pathetic. I mean, 3 days before the start of the season, and if you give me 2 seconds, I could tell you why for Tottenham, from a footballing, from a financial, and from a personal view, this is the wrong decision, right? £100 million for Harry Kane, right? You could replace it for 200 million. I know he's got a year left. Without Harry Kane next season, Spurs have zero chance of getting in the Champions League. I think most people would agree that. With Harry Kane, they have a chance. Maybe it's a small one, but better than zero. Right? You can agree with me there. To get in the Champions League is worth a minimum of £70 million. Minimum. So, from a footballing reason, it doesn't work. From a financial reason, sometimes you have to roll the dice. And personally, I'm a great admirer of Daniel Levy. I've come to Captain as a friend. But personally, for him, this is so the wrong decision. What he should come out and do is tell Harry Kane, you're not going. I'm not 100% convinced about Harry Kane's motives. I think he's a little bit in this for the money, which is why he's never asked for a transfer.
Yeah, but Darren, if you leave it until the end of next season, it goes for nothing.
It goes for nothing, but if you get in the Champions League this season, Jim, you get 70 or 80 million next season. Daniel, if Spurs have a bad start to this season, it was fairly toxic in that ground towards the end of last season. It'll be unbearable for him, and I know Daniel's very thick-skinned. Nobody likes that. Nobody likes that amount of abuse. Harry Kane's been a great player for Tottenham. No one can doubt that. I can guarantee you 2 things in life, Jim. Number one, we're all going to die. And number 2, in the next 10 years, Tottenham Hotspur will not win any less trophies than they have done in the last 10 years.
I'm glad you get your 1 and 2 right. Listen, Darren, thanks for that.
He's made some good points, hasn't he? To be fair, he made some good points here. But you know, I think one thing I would say about Harry, if he does leave, you know, no player is bigger than the club. You know, the club will go on, Tottenham will go on. But I also think you don't realise how good a player or a manager is until they've left you. And I think we all know how good Harry Kane is. What I'm saying is, like Darren said there, you 200 million, you're probably still not going to replace him.
Yeah.
How do you replace Harry Kane? And, you know, they haven't won anything since 2008. And he's right, Darren, you know, you can't see him winning anything in the future. And without the goals, where they're going mid-table.
Well, there's another Darren who's a Spurs fan, season ticket holder. He tells us for 42 years. Everyone's missing the point, Alex. Spurs problems defending.
Well, yeah, yes, maybe. But I was just looking at Harry Kane's goal record actually in reaction to that caller who said actually he's not all that. He's not Tottenham's best player. 30 goals last season in a pretty average Tottenham side in the Premier League. 17 the previous season in 37 games. 23 the season before that. 18, 17, 30, 29, 25, 21. I would suggest that those figures, 213 Premier League goals, one behind our studio guest Tony Cotti. I would suggest those figures prove that Harry Kane is Tottenham's best player by a distance.
Absolutely.
In some company.
100% agree.
Or sorry, should I say Harry Kane is in some company with Tony Cotti. Tony, here's the deal. Tottenham have known about this.
Yeah.
You know, Munich weren't going away. So they're back in and they've agreed a fee. So obviously, there is life without Harry Kane. They will have lined up alternatives and now they'll make the move.
Well, they should have done, Jim, yeah, but you know, sometimes I don't know, I scratch my head, you see it going on and on and on and on, and it gets in, and you know, Daniel Levy, he's renowned for like last day deals, isn't he? You know what he's like, and I think he revels in that, you know, but you can't replace Harry Kane. I don't know how on earth Tottenham think they're going to, even if you get that 95 million or whatever it is, how do you replace Harry Kane? It's impossible.
One or two Tottenham fans saying, how about Ivan Toney? But of course, Ivan Toney can't kick a ball until the beginning of next year, can he?
No, he can't, and I think it's a real risk if you go into the season with Richarlison as your only recognised number 9. Probably Son could play there, but it's not his best position, is it? You like to think with Daniel Levy.
So I think about Spurs. I'm an Arsenal fan, and Arsenal need to win the league for nearly 20 years. We ain't won the league.
Levy should have done this deal.
Spurs ain't won the league from 1961. You
And we're
can't.
offering the type of money they are now.
Potato spuds in
To
our
be fair,
mud.
Daniel always gets the best deal for
Exactly.
Potato spuds are always in the fucking mud. You
There's a message
can't.
from Margaret. I'm sick of the Kane saga. I'm glad
MT
it's over.
Freestyle season, like
Don't
and
forget,
subscribe.
Margaret,
Leave your
we've
comments
still to
below
hear
on
from Harry,
YouTube.
have we not? We'll talk West Ham with Tony Cotti after this.